Pumpkins, welcome back to dinner. I just want to say, you guys' comments on these videos, the fact that you're tuning in is making my heart so full, and it's gonna just explode all over this camera in this episode. I am motivated to do this episode specifically because I walk in the Beltline quite a bit here in Atlanta, and there's a beautiful mural artist named Eric Nine. He actually is on Instagram under the name Eric Nine. And he has one mural on the Beltline with a father holding his toddler son, or what it appears to be his toddler son. And it says in bold font, just like, "He can cry." And it had my mind go on this entire wonderland journey of, we are really writing a new narrative for young boys and young men as they're coming up to be able to have this freedom of expression, this psychological safety to be able to say, express yourself, feel your emotions, just spit pretty bad there, and figure out how you want to impact yourself, your life, make choices on how you feel in those emotions. And I think there's a beautiful and strengthful place that you can reach when you give yourself the freedom to express and feel your feelings and be one with your emotions. And I think it's a narrative that I have been very privileged with because I was raised by a single mother and had many incredible women in my life around me allow me to be able to be free with my expression, allow me to be able to be free with what I wanted to feel. And if I wanted to cry, giving me the card to say, go ahead and cry. I think it made me a much more emotionally intelligent man, to be completely honest. And I'll be very frank with that. But I definitely think there is a sense of maturity that comes from a group of people that earlier on in their life have the freedom to express and feel their emotions, because when you just compartmentalize or you shut off or you create boundaries in your own mind, there is a smaller wherewithal that you're able to learn from the moments in your life, and you're able to manage yourself. And that's why the title of this video might be a little shocking to read. The title being, "Women Made Me a Real Man," is so true. They taught me a plethora of things when it came to being free with who I wanted to be and writing for myself what I thought a man was, instead of listening to just what society said. Because what society told me back in the early 2000s was still, oh, you can't cry, that shit's weak. That's what I heard. I think what I'm trying to get at is there's a beautiful wave, in my opinion, that's happening with the idea of young boys and young men being able to have the same equal freedom of expression that women have been able to have for quite a long time. And I'm not going to say that they were given the privilege of having that, because a lot of times men and young boys, even in the playground scenario, would look at young girls and be like, she's crying because she's a girl. And it was the idea of oh, so I can't cry because I'm a boy. And me crying means I'm weak. Where did that come from, right? Why did we want to separate ourselves as humans? This is such a human act to be able to cry. Why did we want to separate this? And do I truly believe that women were able to mentally develop faster and at earlier ages because they were given this world where they, even though it was looked down on by men, they were able to sit there and be able to cry, and they were raised in a society where it's oh, women cry, boys don't, or women cry, men don't. But really, what that did was give them such a maturity and ability to be in touch with their emotions, things we all feel as humans, and they were able to make a play on that. And they were able to figure themselves out and their own reactions to things, look at it with a deeper touch. And that's something that I don't know if I think a lot of men in my generation were given the privilege of doing, but I think I was. And that's why I want to highlight a lot of the women that allowed me, they didn't need to do this, but they allowed me to have that psychological freedom to be able to feel and be comfortable with myself and think about my sexuality. How I was gay, and how I absolutely knew I was gay, and how I didn't need to run from it. And even though I knew and I stayed in the closet for a minute, I still had a sense of security that I don't know if other gay men were allotted, because I had a single mother that said, feel what you want to feel. Say what you want to say. React the way you want to react. You know, you're young. You have the chance to build this. And what I think is so beautiful is this new wave of a mural like this by Eric Nine saying he can cry, and making that such a public statement is teaching the men of my generation who are about to become fathers, we need to allow these young boys to be able to express themselves. We need to create new generations of men because there's power in that freedom. I think this was a roller coaster for you because this was a roller coaster for me. And I'm not sure if I expressed myself super well. This may be the first time I edit dinner. But I hope there's a relatability to this because I've thought a lot about it. Every time I pass that mural on the Beltline, I'm like, oh, kudos. And I also want to give that same kudos to all the women in my life that have made me the man that I'm proud to be. A real man, whether you believe it or not. I think I'm a real version of my definition of man because I was given a freedom and a privilege to do so by the women that granted me and gave me that. So to all the strong women in my life, you know who you are. I hope I lift you up. And I hope I make you feel seen. And I hope I make you feel strong. And I hope I make you feel so important. Because I would not be here and I would not be the man I am without you. Pumpkins, thank you for joining me again. I will see you next week. Mwah.